Well, let's go ahead and get started with it. Hi, guys. I'm Brand. We're doing our first discussion live from Twitch. Say hi, everybody. It's up in the top. Hello. Say hi, everybody. Everybody, we're live. Hi, this is Otts in some parallel universe. Yeah, I'm a, what do they call it in the Loki show? I'm a derivative. I'm an alternative universe person of Otts. I'm a different kind of Otts that exists parallel to the actual Otts. A variant, that's what it is. I'm a variant of Otts. I am the long hair variant. That's American. But yeah, today I wanted to discuss, and we're going to discuss together as a whole group, why the mid-chapter changes for Killer are actually kind of needed. We've kind of had a very, very rough day on stream. A very, very rough day on stream when it comes to Killer games. And I feel like at first when I saw the Killer changes go through, I said to myself, Killer doesn't really need that, right? Like, Killer, I think, is definitely the more underpowered role compared to Survivor, especially when there's coordination involved and comms involved. But I didn't think it needed a buff. I never even thought to myself, I'm like, wait, we need to buff Killers. I was mostly focused on, like, maps and, like, perks. That was mostly what I was focused on. I never thought or stopped to consider maybe we should buff Killer for any reason. I never thought that. But after the matches I've had today, I think I'm starting to understand why we need to have these Killer changes and why they make sense and the kind of the methodology that went behind them. Because you guys have heard, right? Like, hello up there. You guys have heard that, you know, all the streamers that you guys watch that play Survivor are kind of like lamenting these changes. Has that been your experience? That people are like actually like lamenting the Killer changes, saying that Killer was already easy and now Killer is being buffed and this is a travesty to DBD. Like, hasn't that kind of been the experience that you've had? Always been of the opinion that should buff solo queue and the new map roles and then are in order to buff Killer? Yeah, I've never thought like buff Killer the role itself. Like, that never occurred to me. So when those changes came through, it was like weird. But after our matches today, I really see it because for like two main reasons. It mostly just comes down to the pre-drop gen immersion meta. That's kind of what it comes down to. The pre-drop meta, the whole W pre-drop meta, and the gen immersion meta. So the changes will make solo queue a lot more miserable, make Killer a lot more enjoyable against comms. So the problem is that like what we were running into in our matches today, and we did run into a lot of comms today. We found that out the hard way. We had a whole crew come in being all sorts of mean and continue to be mean elsewhere. But the Shift W pre-drop meta, that is answered by the built-in brutal. It's answered by the built-in brutal. Like, if you are going to be holding W and just pre-dropping everything and playing it as safe as possible, that's answered by the built-in brutal. And would you say that, do you think the Stabiffle also factors into that? Because you can also catch up to them quicker? Yeah, so like, yeah, because you get 2 stacks of Stabiffle Basekit come in the mid-chapter PTB. So that also helps, right? Because like, if you're trying to hold W to the safe palette, yeah, because yeah, you hit them and then you get that extra boost and recovery, and then you can just go up there. So yeah, and the slight reduction in speed boost after that, I actually forgot about that on the Survivor side. Yeah, so like this I've made a whole video about this, and I'll put that, I can't put it up there because you guys are up there right now, but I'll put it somewhere around here. I made a whole video talking about how playing safe was really what was killing DBD and what was driving a lot of people from the game. Is because it was just like really easy to save place. It's really easy to just hold W, pre-drop pallets, and unless you're like Nurse, what do you do about that? Can you do anything about that? Is it possible to do anything about that? It's not. It's really not. And so like, you just gotta sit there and just take it, unless you have a really, really oppressive like 3-4 slowdown build that you can actually like counteract these things and stop these things. So by adding these 3 things, that being the built-in brutal, the built-in Stabiffle, and the less shaved off time of your speed boost that you get after being hit, you're not gonna be able to do that as well. And I feel like that's like something that we've been struggling to like solve for such a long time. Is like, what do we do about the whole W pre-drop meta? Because there's like, you would have to like introduce a whole new game mechanic almost to like directly counteract that. But I feel like this like built-in situation with the built-in brutal and Stabiffle and the shaved off time of the speed boost, that's gonna really make it hard for you to just hold W in pre-drop, hold W in pre-drop, hold W in pre-drop. It's so frustrating. And the reason why this is even worse, as we segue into the next part, the reason this is worse is because a lot of the matches we also had today, we had one person getting tunneled out of the game, not because I was planning to tunnel them, but because the other 3 survivors were playing super immersed. They were hiding, they were coming out only when it was super safe for them to do so, and if anything even seemed slightly dodgy, they just hide into the woodwork. And then it usually ended up being one person that was kind of out in the open, one person being punished because they aren't part of the plan. Exactly, Zeus. One person getting punished because they aren't part of the plan. There were 2 Claudettes in the last match I played on Dead Dog that just like hid the entire time. Like literally like dodging into bushes, like they were on a stealth mission. And this poor Nia got tunneled out because like I couldn't find anybody else, and anytime I saw anybody else, they immediately just like ran for the hills. So like once again, I literally made a whole video where I talked about like nerfing gen speeds is a bad idea. Nerfing gen speeds is stupid, like because gens are already boring, so why would you make that even longer? But like what those teammates are doing is, while one person is out there pre-dropping and playing as safe as possible, is the other ones are stealthing and immersing around and plowing out the gens at mock speed in the background. And that's what was happening, is it didn't matter that like they were kind of leaving one person out to dry or to sacrifice, as Huffbuff put it. It didn't matter because the gens would still get done, because the gens are really easy to do and they're just doing them efficiently in the background, while one person kind of just takes the fall by playing super healthy. And I think at the end of the day, like, while I would never have considered these situations and I never would have put them in myself, I feel like I'm beginning to see why they've been put in, because I don't want to say by and large, because apparently I say that a lot and everybody's pointing that out now, is that I think for the most part, the most awful matches I have in DBD aren't the ones where I get like juiced by the survivors or I get dunked on. The worst matches I have are the ones that are just incredibly boring, where people shift W, pre-drop, and then do the gens in like 3 seconds. Those are the matches I hate. There are plenty of matches. I was playing Billy a lot today as well, and I got 4 outed, 3 outed, like most of my matches playing Billy, and I had a great time. Because we were actually looping and having fun, and it was a great time. But like, it's those matches where it's shift W pre-drop, and then the gens fly off the shelves in like 10 seconds. Those are the worst. I think those are the worst. Swift should be punished for leaving souls to die. Maybe penalty. Maybe, yeah. Like you lose points for off of your like your altruism emblem. Maybe. Solo queues needing something else to go for the save, but doesn't happen. You know, stars. Yeah. So like the problem with buffing all this, of course, the caveat to buffing all this is also the fact that, you know, that makes solo queue suffer. And the fact that this didn't come alongside a solo queue buffer is concerning. And I think that's why most people are resisting it. It's not because it's needed, right? Like things like, yeah, you're right. Like things like Kindred probably should be Basekit to help the solo queue experience. And the fact that these didn't come at the same time is really unfortunate. But I would say like not making progress for the sake of like even progress is not like, I've never been a fan of that kind of mentality. It's like, don't make progress because we're afraid we're not making progress on all fronts. You know, like that. I feel like these changes will still up. I think they're still good. And I know, I guess the point of this video is that like, I just didn't see the good in the sense in putting these killer changes into the game until I had all these just like matches where like those little things would have really helped, because like I wasn't playing terribly, I was doing okay, and it was just like, it's just like that's the whole problem with like the safe plays, is that they don't have counterplay. They are just like by their name, they are just safe. And when you play super safe, you just should have played nurse, I guess. And that shouldn't be the response, is you should have just had a stronger build or played nurse. That shouldn't be the response. I think killer's going to be in a better place after the update, but it's not going to swing people with lower kill rates anywhere. Yeah, I feel like that is a good point. I feel like it's going to do more help for people in like mid to high MMR, where people kind of like quote unquote solved the game. Whereas like the people who are still learning are still going to suffer with the same issues. It's not going to give like a ton of like bad players, like a huge like up an edge over people, because they're still making the same mistakes that they were before. Like they're still going to suffer a lot. It's not going to like incredibly shift the balance. It's mostly going to help, like, because like new players or still are emerging players don't do the shift W pre-drop meta. They don't do the hide on, the spread out super efficiently and hide on gens meta. They don't do that stuff because they don't know how yet. Killer chains are good, but I think they should go a bit further with this. How so? Not in regards to solo queue, because that's a whole different bag of worms. Like how should we go more into like with the killer changes? Unless if Brutal was added, it's still going to take a while because pre-drop and shift W, it's a little more cooldown for hitting a survivor. No, it's a little less cooldown. So like you're recovering quicker. How far they can push buffs like breaking speed and some base kits like Whisper. I wonder if they need that though. Do you think they need that? Like they need Whisper? I definitely feel like it'll help me with Law's Killer because it feels like my chases are either good, I down them quick with no bloodlust, pre-drop every pallet in my face, or they're just better than me and deserve to juice me, and I think it'll help maybe those that just pre-drop shit W. Yeah, because that is an absence of skill, is what that is. That is an absence of skill. That is an absence of skill. Holding W and pre-dropping is an absence of skill, but it gains you skill according to the MMR and according to blood points, because technically you're not going down and technically you're escaping. What you do there is not inherently skillful, so it's going to be met with something that's inherently not skillful, which are these base kit changes. So it seems like it's not going to hurt the people that already knew how to play the game well. It's going to hurt the people that are kind of teeter-tottery, people that have some solid bases but not a whole lot. At least that's what it sounds like. Right? That sounds like it's mostly going to affect people who already suck at the game. Which is kind of like ideally what you want, right? Like you have the least amount of effect on new players, and you have the biggest effect on the mid to high level players. Because you don't want the new players' experience being completely ruined. But you want to have the mid to high MMR still be intriguing, entertaining, and based off of skill. That's kind of like what they want to do. So I think that makes the most sense. So yeah, I feel like I feel like I didn't even think about it that way, to be honest. That, like, you know, the absence of skill that's required to shift W and pre-drop. Now there's an absence of skill on what counters it, which is just built-in stuff. So it's kind of like it's fighting fire with fire. Which hopefully works. Hopefully works. Usually when people say that, it's with a negative connotation, but you know. But yeah, I think that's good. I think we covered a lot, and it's because these are usually only like 10 minutes, or like 8-10 minutes, and we kind of like covered, you know, why the changes are happening, the things it's supposed to be targeting, why it might be a good thing, why it might need more. But I think that's pretty succinct, right? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Thank you for all of you guys who participated in the discussion, and then you guys can continue to participate in the discussion down below. Make sure everybody says bye. Everybody says bye. Say bye to YouTube, because the conversation's coming to its conclusion. But yeah, think about, do you think that these killer changes are making sense because of the shift W pre-drop meta and what it's trying to do away with? Or do you think the killer changes are still too much? Let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, that's gonna be it for today's video, but I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I don't, I will see you when I see you, friends. Goodbye, everybody say goodbye, everybody wave, goodbye, like we're on Sesame Street.